Ultimate Spider-Man 3 finds Richard and MJ becoming suspicious of Peter and May's activities, thinking that they are up to something as the father and daughter say they're just having some solid father-daughter time. Peter thinks that maybe MJ and Richard are up to something and they are just deflecting. MJ waves off Peter's playful jabs and heads out with Richard, who laments that he hates going shoe shopping, but his mother disagrees. MJ tells the others to have a fun day and not to do anything she wouldn't do, and after they leave, May and Peter head to the roof, where Peter cycles through various styles on his costumes, getting May to decide which one he should wear. May thinks he's so old and doesn't get what is in style at the moment, not really liking any of them, but thinks the one with the blue is a little too blue and needs a little bit more red. Eventually, Peter designs one that she likes, and he asks if May wants to take it for a spin. Grabbing his daughter and suiting up, Peter swings through the city in his new and improved Spider-Man costume. Elsewhere in the city, Ben and Jonah look over their dumpy new office. Jonah isn't a fan, but Ben reminds him that he spent exactly what Jonah told him to spend, wondering if there was even any more in the budget. Jonah knows there is, but that's for their employees. Ben reminds him they don't actually have employees, and Jonah knows, and that's why they control the budget. Peter comes by with an office warming plant, commenting that it's not a very great office. He tells them the plant is from MJ, who thought that it would liven up the place. He places it carefully on a table, thinking now it's a whole new dump of an office, hoping that they know that they need to fix this place up before people work there. Jonah begrudgingly knows that there is leftover budget and that will help, and Peter thinks that he should use it, spotting the investigation board the men have been building on Wilson Fisk. Jonah isn't sure they can say anymore with Peter there since he works for their direct competition, and Ben backs him up, knowing things are delicate for their venture at the moment and they need all the leg up on the competition they can. They know they can probably tell him a little bit more if he's willing to share some things with them. So they ask Peter about the Bugle and if anyone is doing stories on this guy in green waging a personal war against the Fisk organization. Peter knows there has been talks, and they are calling him the Green Goblin, and while Robbie believes there is a story there, upper management keeps shutting it down and instead wants stories on the guy in the black suit. Peter coyly tells them that the black suited individual does seem to be a bit more photogenic and is a bit more of a compelling story in his eyes. The others want to, however, focus on Fisk and the Green Goblin, showing off their map with markers for each goblin attack and how they are all areas owned by Fisk. Peter gets it's why management doesn't want them working on the story, but why is he targeting Fisk? He thinks maybe it's a good guy versus a bad guy, but Ben thinks that it's possibly a bad guy targeting another bad guy, since this world isn't some fairy tale. Ben thinks that they need to find out more before they can come to a conclusion, and Peter decides to find out for himself, suiting up and staking out one of Fisk's buildings. But he soon finds that being out on a stakeout isn't all it's cracked up to be, as it begins raining, really wishing that something would happen. After one day and one night, Spider-Man gets ready to quit his stakeout when he senses something happening. Elsewhere in the city, the Green Goblin pursues Bullseye over some rooftops. Bullseye goads Goblin on, thinking that the man is pretending to be a predator. However, the green-suited individual strikes him as someone who's never actually hunted, since he would have recognized he's walked right into a trap. Bullseye whips one of his playing cards at Goblin's bomb in his hand, causing it to explode prematurely. The explosion blows Goblin down into a construction site, prompting him to ask who this man is. Bullseye will only say he's a killer and an actual predator in the wild. Goblin fires a wrist laser at the villain, figuring that Bullseye is more like a pet on a leash. Bullseye dodges the beams and throws more cards at Goblin, revealing that he doesn't actually work for Fisk, since he's just a puppet, like everyone else in this city. One of the cards digs into Green Goblin's armor, delivering a nasty electric shock as Bullseye climbs onto the hero, readying to kill him. He tells Goblin that he works for the real masters of the world and is paid by an invisible hand to strike those who have forgotten their station in life. Spider-Man arrives before he can kill Goblin, webbing up Bullseye's cards and quipping that if he can't play nice, maybe he shouldn't play at all. Bullseye is glad that the hero showed up since now he can eliminate two problems at once, and after that, he gets to go home since he hates New York and hates being there. He whips more playing cards at Spider-Man, who easily dodges them, but Bullseye countered on it, instead aiming for the construction crane behind him. The cards cut through the supports, bringing the entire structure down on top of Spider-Man. Bullseye hopes that the hero lived and that it hurts real bad, but his gloating is ended by Goblin, who blasts him in the back with his laser. Bullseye throws more cards at Goblin and they electrocute his armor again, causing him to writhe in pain. Bullseye thinks he should tell the man to make his peace, but this isn't how it's going to go for him. Goblin thinks that it's a real shame a predator like Bullseye doesn't seem to recognize a trap that he's walked right into. Spider-Man suddenly appears and smashes Bullseye in the face, knocking him out cold. Goblin thanks Spider-Man for helping out, not expecting something like that at all. Spider-Man asks about the villain, but Goblin doesn't really know who he is, restraining Bullseye as Spider-Man asks if they should call the cops, not really knowing what to do next since this is only his second time fighting someone. Goblin explains that Fisk owns much of the police force, and this guy is connected to more than Fisk, so calling them won't be any help. He magnetizes Bullseye's restraints to his glider, telling Spider-Man that he's going to do with the villain what needs to be done. As the glider leaves with Bullseye attached to it, Goblin mutters to himself that there is a place for everything, and everything is in its place. He notices Spider-Man's suit and thinks that people might think it's cool, and Spider-Man knows it's cool. Goblin activates something on his chest armor, telling Spider-Man that the suit he's wearing is proprietary technology. Goblin's suit suddenly pairs with Spider-Man's suit and he is able to deactivate the suit, revealing Peter's identity to him. Goblin, however, removes his own helmet, introducing himself as Harry Osborn. Peter does the same, and Harry hopes that he has noticed that the world is a strange and dangerous place nowadays, thinking that they could go and get a drink and talk about it, and Peter reluctantly agrees to do so.